In my previous 5th grade class, we did weekly readings on Scholastic news articles, and this one was based off of tornadoes and twisters, is what we read. And after we were done reading, I wanted them to do an activity that involved technology and the science behind tornadoes. So I first created a presentation to tell them about the Tornado Protection Agency and how they were going to become tornado hunters. So what I did is I added a lot of directions. I added what they had to do along with several different pictures, and they really enjoyed this because they've never seen Prezi presentation before, and they were very engaged on me doing all the directions in this format instead of the PowerPoint. But I did do a PowerPoint to give them to hand out for directions, so they had the directions in hand as well. So we went through, and all the directions were laid out for them in this whole format. So there were 3 different things I wanted them to do. The first was already stated. The second one was about the effects of tornadoes, and they were assigned to go to the computer room, and they had to work in groups. So they did a lot of technology on their own, going through researching on the internet, using the PowerPoint, typing in Word, and finding images off of the Google and the Yahoo databases to put into their PowerPoints. So they had to find pictures on the effects of tornadoes. Since there are different types of tornadoes, they had to find the severity of each one and then also describe that. And then after that, in their presentation, they also had to talk about the safety, because obviously safety is very important, and a lot of times children don't know how to be safe during the tornadoes. So that was one of the jobs one of the children had to do in the groups, was to research online and to go through to see where they could go for shelter, safety especially in schools, to teach the rest of the class, and also how to be safe, how to be in the different positions in order to not be injured inside of the school near windows and other dangerous objects, and also safety kits. And then I threw in a cow in there for some humor. So after that, I did the directions also in the PowerPoint format. I went over them again just to make sure that they understood what was supposed to be done. And this is what I gave them. This was their template for the project. So they had to add the title and also the members in the group with a possible picture. The first step was to do the history. They were each given jobs, and the first job was to do the history and follow these different directions to put them on there. I also gave them different websites they could go on. During our time in the computer room, we spent about 3 days in the computer room researching these topics, so they had plenty of time to go through on these different websites, or the ones they found on Google. And then another student had to do the effects of the tornadoes, since I also gave them more websites here, but they were also allowed to discover their own websites on their own as long as they were approved by me at the time. And they also had to do tornado safety, which we talked about, the different positions, the locations in school or at their home on where to be safe, along with the websites provided down below, and also the specific jobs that they had to do. So the one person will be a PowerPoint designer, which they did the template design, the different colors and animations, which I'll show you after we're done with the directions, the research, the finding the effects of tornadoes, and the safety tips, and along with pictures, because I feel that pictures also help with the presentation and also help the other students understand the severity of the tornadoes. So this was the directions, what we had, and we spent about 3 days in the computer room. And one of the presentations that I'll show you was done by a group of 4 students. First was the tornado safety tips, so they each took their own turns talking in class, and this was done presenting in front of the whole class along with the assistant principal, so the assistant principal could see what they have been doing for the past 3 or 4 days. And then we move on to having them put pictures inside. Next was also the picture of the tornado safety at home, in the car, and the mobile home. I also had them, like I said before, do the effects of the tornadoes to show that there are different levels of tornadoes, because unfortunately maybe some of the students didn't know that there were different levels, so this was a good visual on that. And then also the history of what we had. The history of tornadoes, where they started, the most likely state to occur in. And they finished off with several different pictures of twisters and tornadoes, because a lot of the students may have never seen a twister before in real life or even in a picture, so this helped them get a good idea on what the type of tornadoes were. And I feel they did very successful on this. I don't think they would have done as good if they didn't have technology to use. So I think that they did an excellent job on each of these presentations.